Hi everyone, Sunday, June the 3rd. I'm going to put my tomatoes in the final place now. It's pretty much the same as what I do every year. Been fishing for a few days, so they've been left to their own devices, so there's a few suckers that need nipping out. So there's plenty of videos on nipping suckers out. It's pretty much basically when you get your main stem coming up, you'll get a leaf truss, a fruit truss, and anything that's sort of like on a 45-degree growing in between, like a leaf truss and the main stem, you want to pinch that out. Unless if it's a determinate variety and you're going to grow it as a small bush. But these are all sort of cordon, so these I'll just grow until probably middle of August, then I'll take the top off, and then that'll give time for them to ripen up whatever fruit's on them, if they do alright. So some people who've seen my other video will know I do the 2-pot method. I'm a plant short, so I had some backups. So I've got another San Marzano, which is a plum. So I'm going to show you, if you haven't done the twin pot way, it's another way you can do it. Just put a bottomless pot like that, nestle it in. This is just a raised bed. It's about 6 inches high. I've not changed the compost in it. It's been in here a few years. All I've done, I've put about an inch on top of it. It's actually an old grow bag I've spurced over the top of it. So pretty straightforward. If you're going to, these are the pots that they were in before they went into these. So I guess you're just popping it out. Absolutely loads of roots on it. And instead of making a hole, I'm going to put it all the way in, because it'll just dump out more roots. And then just basically carefully hold these outer leaves up and just fill in around it. And it's completely simpler than that. Just make sure it's firm, but not too firm, because you can always top it up a little bit if you need to. Remember, the roots also need air, so there's a bit of perlite mixed in this. Do that, and then you can settle it with a bit of water. We've got a watering can here. Sort of brim it, and then just let it settle down. Right, I need to put a support in that. I've got some little 2-foot canes, which I've used on these. I mean, I could just go direct with the string now, really, but get a cane and carefully, not right close to the stem in case you pierce the main stem. Just take it into there. And I usually take it right the way down into the bed, because that way it's a good anchor point. And I have these little stems, these little clip things. You can use string, anything like that. I don't really need it, to be honest, at this point. It's only if they've been stood in these pots, because I do prefer to try and put them outside for a little bit, to try and give them a little bit of a rock in the wind, and then they'll firm up. And then all I've got here is I've got some strings that are tied to the top. It's 3-ply. You can use thicker twine or string or paracord or anything like that. Be aware that there's a lot of weight in a plant when it's laden with tomatoes, so just be on your guard. I have had this stuff snap later in the year, so sometimes if it gets a bit heavy, put a second string in. And I don't tie it too tight. I'll tie it part way up the cane. And I can it allows a little bit of slack, because you're gonna obviously wrap it around the plant as well. It's a little bit fiddly, but I would use canes, and timed canes, but knowing my luck, I'll puncture a hole in the top of the polytunnel. So I'll just tie that on there, so I can slide it up and down. If I need a bit more slack, I can slide it up that stick. And it simply go around the plant, any direction will do. Go around the stem until it gets to a point where it's kind of, that's slacking everything, but it doesn't matter, because it's going to be used to go around further up. Like I say, you can always slide that knot down to tighten it up. Don't worry if your tomato plants are a bit bent and floppy. Don't worry about it. You know, as soon as they're in here, you know, in the final place, and you start supporting them, they will naturally grow straight, providing you support them that way. So tag back in. Right, now the other way, which is what I usually do. So same variety, San Marzano, is twin pots, same size. The inner one has the bottom cut off. Planted in, I can't remember, a couple of weeks ago, something like that. I usually wait until the roots are at the bottom of the pot, then the compost shouldn't fall to pieces when I lift it out. So it could do, I don't know. So you lift it out, and there's roots all dangling out the bottom of the pot here. This bottom sort of inch is just compost, and I made a hollow in there about an inch. It's as simple as get your pot, nestle it in like that, and then just press that down. And that's it. Then pots go to one side for doing it again next year. And then this support cane here, push it right, same again, right through. Get my string. Yeah, don't worry, because if you put your string a bit too short or anything, you can always, you know, cut it later on, as long as you temporarily support it and make any adjustments. There's no dead cert way of doing it. Now, because it's quite a dense one, you need to try and find a good route, because you don't want to be pulling leaf trusses up and fruit trusses all over the place. You need to try and get it so it'll naturally sit in between. Clip back on for now. And just slide that down to tighten it up. And then all I'll do again, I'll water this pot in the middle just to help settle it. I did flood the beds before. You know, they had a good 30-40 litres of water in each bed. And I put a cover on that helps to stop the moisture evaporating. And these small pots are just use a bulb planter, and that's where I water them through. Or I have a dripper system as well if I can bother rigging it up, but I haven't been doing the last couple of years. I water through there, and you can feed through the top. So once the flowers are in, you know, sort of bloom, weekly or fortnightly feeds, a light feed, doesn't be anything too strong. They like high potash. You know, your general tomato feed's good. But there's plenty of different feeds out there, you know, and it's just personal choice. So I'll do one more. These are Gardener's Delight. Now you see the top here. It's a common thing I get in the polytunnel here when they're up on the shelf. Is the top leaves are always curly. I used to worry about it, but it's perfectly fine. All it is it's getting hot. So it just shrivels itself up to protect itself. If I put this in the shade for a day, they'll be out, they'll open. But it's just that I thought it was a virus at first, but it's not. I've never had a problem with it. So same again, in a pot, separate it. I'll try and bring it closer so you can see what I mean about the roots. I don't know where you can see, but there's all roots all the way around the bottom part of the pot. There's no base in it at all, that's just compost. And then simply nestle it in, like so. Your little support cane, push it down. I'll just put this clip a little bit lower down because it'll be in my way out there. I can pop it back on in a minute if it's needed, you know, because these are a bit top heavy now. It's just finding a gap through the foliage to tie your string. you don't tend to have too many pests. I don't anyway with tomatoes. You get the odd caterpillar thing, I think it's a moth, because you never see it by day. And you come out, you see if you bet your foliage been eaten away. Come out at night and you might see it, but just be warned, when you pick them up, they go absolutely nuts. So it might make you jump a bit, but it's not going to do any harm. And you can either do what you please with it. You can either go and let it go elsewhere or dispatch of it. I don't think you're going to put a dent in the population if you dispatch it. Remember to constantly check for suckers on your tomatoes, and it's pretty much from this point once they're out, you know, within a week they'll be pumping roots down. I'll not be able to move these. They'll be in pretty solid. So suckers will be pumping out. I'll keep them down. You always tend to get the odd sneaky one when they get dents creeping up the back here, but you can always tell by the colour, because these start to get darker and you'll see a nice light green shoot somewhere and you'll think, oh, what's that? And then you'll see a little growing tip. Follow it back down and it'll be a sucker. That's how I tend to find them, because it's only a small polytunnel. It's only 10 foot by 6 foot, and I have 18 plants in here, so they get about just over a foot apart really. So I have 8 each side. The same sort of spacings that they are in a grow bag, to be honest. But I don't really have any problems. Try and avoid getting the foliage wet if you can, you know, because obviously with blight and things. If you get any problems, you know, other things, the only time I will wet the foliage is if I'm going to spray them with Epsom salts, which helps green them up. It also contains magnesium, which treats blossom end rot and things like that. So let's water them in. And it's as simple as that. So I'll get on with the rest of these, but that's the tomatoes for 2018. Right, I'm going to do a 90-day reveal. Not quite 90 days, about 87 or something like that, but I need to get them out of the way. I've had to move them off the garden because it's starting to get a little bit cramped up there now with the King Edwards. So I'll have a look around the garden another time. So I need to get on with some of these because I'm getting hungry and I'm going to have some for my tea tonight. So these are Swift. I'll probably pick this one on the end here because it's looking a bit unhealthy. I think that's just dieback, a lot of that now. So I've no idea how they'll do. I've never grown Swift before. So let's get started. Right. Let's get tops cut off these. These canes first. I just put some canes in and a bit of string around just to help keep everything up. So they're a bit speckly. I don't know if it's some sort of early blight or what, I don't know. It's not really affecting anything else, so probably just bugs. I've had a couple of blight warnings. I've been down the plot and sprayed. Out of the way. Canes there. Right, no secateurs, these little scissors. Make sure there's no toads or anything. Last year I had a big toad sat in the top of my tub, my King Edwards. I don't mind them as long as I know they're there. Right, moment of truth. This is where I hope I press record. I'm still using my phone, so there we go. I'm just splitting this tub. Split there, we go. See a couple of spuds around the side here. A couple there, a bit flat. A bit small, some of them, but Yeah, not too bad. Some right tiny ones. Really tiny. Just got a nibble at that one. Yeah, still some that have been forming on these. Well, let's break the pile up and see what it is. Quite wet. Oh, better. Quite big and all, to be honest. No scab, which is what I was hoping. No splitting. Had a lot of spuds split last year at the plot. Just use that wicks multi-purpose, even though it's not been great this year. I've got a few spuds here. It's not all bad. Sea potato, that is mushy. I think that one misfired, that one. Oh, this one don't seem to have as many tops on as these other ones. There's another one. Don't smell so good either. There's another sea potato. I think there was 4 in these, I think. Probably could have got away with just 2, to be honest. But, just having the room to grow them all. Is that a lot? Woodlice. Oh, woodlice knocking them out. That's looking about. Yeah, it's looking about a lot, I think. There's plenty enough for a meal anyway. Right. Trusty carry bag and get them away, see what we've got. Couple of pound will be alright. I don't mind them that size. I've never grown swift before. It's usually Dukey Oaks, first earlies. Usually grow anyway, but I'm open to trying things out. I used to like growing one called Jazzy because they all used to end up like that sort of size. I must remember next year to try and order some more Jazzies. I tend to do them in the smaller 10 or 12 litre tubs. I'm not bother weighing them, pea-size things. Right, turn my scales on first. Oh, we're on pounds, that's alright. £4.66. I don't know where you can see that. I'll try and bring it up to the camera. I might have to lift the tripod up a bit, I don't know. Try and let it, I don't know if you can see that. It's not touching the floor. I don't know if you can see that. Oh. 4.64. There. So, yeah, I'm happy with that. I've got another 3 of them at that stage. I've got another 2 which are probably about 4 or 5 weeks younger. I had a couple of pots left, so I just put them in, so they'll probably be ready. Like I said, another 4 or 5 weeks I'll have a go at them. So that's it, that's the spuds done anyway. Okay, it's 5th of June. Had a long day at work today, so I've just managed to grab a chance to come down before it goes dark. I've got about an half hour left before it goes dark. I thought I'll get shut of these courgettes because they're getting hard to keep alive now. They need watering quite often. I thought I'll put them in the ground. I was thinking about putting them in my asparagus bed, but I've put 2 in a small bed at home and I'm going to put 3 here. It's a bit tight, but there's enough room for 3 of them here. I'll probably put some canes in eventually and try and keep them a bit more upright, otherwise they might collapse. Either that or I'll let them one collapse that way, one collapse that way, and sort of stagger them. Because these will be growing up and they'll be growing up, so it doesn't matter if they're going along the ground in between them and that. So, fairly straightforward really. You know, the space probably good, nearly 2 foot apart really. So, just a case of get him right down. Push that there so I know that one's going. Give that one a bit of a push down so I know that one's going. I don't want to be burying them too deep. I don't mind a little hill, you know, around the neck. Because get a bit wet around the neck, they're a bit prone to rotting off. Get rid of the seed leaves now, I don't need them. One. I think the variety of these is Defender, which, if I remember rightly, are a fair old size. I managed to get down here on Sunday for a little while to sort of hill my potatoes up a bit, but they've still got a bit of growth. They're a bit slow, to be honest, and they're a little bit patchy on some of them, but majority have come up. I'd probably say 95% of them anyway. There's a few that are still creeping through. I'll come around the other side and do that one. Around the other way because I'm right-handed, so I'll be able to see a bit better what I'm doing then. I'll keep my head out of the way. I mean, there's plenty of roots on them. Crumble some stuff up down the bottom there. And then give them a quick water. Pretty much like get the head of the watering can and dunk it right under. I'm trying to give them a good drink at this stage. I'm not really struggle finding water in these raised beds because they remain pretty much wet at the bottom most of the year. Courgette roots. They're more than capable of going and finding water. So that's the courgettes. So I've got a couple that haven't come up, you know, in this sort of area. The other ones, most of them have come up. You know, I only put 1 seed per hole, so I'll use the thicker end because it doesn't have to be too much of a small hole. Bush hole. Not too shallow because I want to try and get it where it's moist. It's a good inch down. You know, which I wouldn't do if it was cold or boggy or anything like that. It's liable to rot off. At least down there it can return. Just put in 1 seed in each. Cover them back over. And then if they don't come up, I'll just pop some more in. So it's as simple as that really, and the variety's Ferrari. Okay, they're in. So there's the 3 courgettes, and I've watered all of it, but I mean I've sort of filled in where there's a dwarf French bean there and there. You know, there are some, I don't know where you can see. Let's have a look through here. See one sort of just peeping up just there. So they're still coming through. So we'll have a look around the rest of the plot while I'm here. Go over to cauliflowers first. They're growing pretty quick. So I'm a bit concerned. Some of the plants are a bit too small to be starting producing curds at the moment, so I'll keep my eyes on things. Spuds. These are the Sao Palmeiras that are miles behind, but then, you know, the Nicola, and some of these are Cabaret, and then some Orla, full row of Orla all the way down there, and then Morris Piers is on that row, then Charlotte's and Duke of York's first earlies. So everything's fully planted up now, as far as I know. Onions are pretty much the same really as last time. Getting a bit more chunkier. They're getting ready any time now for something to go to seed or rust to appear or whatnot. You know, because the garlic's not as big as it was last year. Obviously I planted it later, so it can just do what it does really, and as soon as it topples, I get what I get. But I might take some of these spring onions tonight, because otherwise I'm going to be overrun with them because there's a lot there. Peas, they're all covered in a net because I didn't want any pigeons coming down and pecking, but net can come off soon, and because they've sort of come up massive amounts. Beetroots even come up down there as well, so I can put a string across them about 12 inches off the ground, roughly, you know, at 12 to 18 inch intervals, just to keep them back so they don't all topple everywhere. I did take lettuce from there and one from between there, but you can't really tell because these have gone huge now, so I need to take some of them. Some Mazio's gone massive, so they're ready. There's beetroots flying on. There's nothing there yet at the bottom, and big change in the asparagus. Some that have come right up there. A few more have come up. Still very patchy, so I'm just going to forget about our bed for this year. Just leave it to do its thing. If anything happens, it happens. If not, then it's getting binned. Go over to fruits. Strawberries, starting to put out runners, which I can't be doing with pulling runners off. It's such a boring job. But could do with a bit of rain soon to help swell the fruits up a bit. There's some my mum's sweet peas. I'll show you the ones there, the ones in the garden are getting on when I do a garden update. These strawberries doing okay. Put a string across them to hold them back. You know, it's dead patchy here, but I'll just take what I get off this run. Just seems to be there. It's just a bit sparse. But starting to get flowers on there, so peas will not be far off. And I have some giant sunflowers that are in. The variety is it's either Russian Giant or Titan. I can't remember offhand. So they've been in here 2 days so far. We'll just see how they go. I have no backups left. I did sow 6. I give one to a friend, and my sister's taking the other one tonight, so I've got them 4, and that's it. That's all done some flowers this year up here. Anyway, I've got a few other ones at home, some spindly things I've just shoved in the garden, see how they do. Blueberries, fruit cages now closed, off limits to all blackbirds. I seen one hovering around the other day, so I closed it. So there is going to be another influx of berries this year. I don't think quite as many as last year, but plenty on there. I don't know if you can see that, but that's what I'm on about. You've got cattle roaming around a guy's plot there. There's actually cattle on his plot. It's a bit out of order really, but if he's not been down to pay his plot this year, then I don't know, but still, nevertheless, it's not fair. I know I'd be going mad if they came on here, started wrecking my plot. I'd be demanding money back. Right, so what haven't we looked at? Brassicas. Now I need to take some spring greens for Kane, because they are down this side. These are all the greens. I think they're Durham early, I think they are. So I'll take some of them, because I'm not having them as heads or anything. And oh, by the looks of things, you can't really see. The broccoli heads are starting to form, as small as they are. You might make it, I don't know if you'll make it out, but there's one down there, it's probably about 2 inch across. So I'll have to keep an eye on them, because I don't want them to blow all of a sudden, and fire to seed. It tends to be, because they're all at the same time, I'm going to be overrun with broccoli. But I don't mind, it'll freeze down. So these cabbages shouldn't be far behind, maybe about 3 or 4 weeks after them. And then 3 or 4 weeks after that, the collies should be ready. That's the plan anyway. So that was just some old garlic left over, I've shoved it in there, see what it does. So that bed, I've no idea what I'm going to do with it, to be honest. If the asparagus comes out, I don't know. I've got a lot to think about for next year. So I think that's it for this update. Whether I've added anything else to it, I don't know. I've just been recording bits as and when I can. It's just been really, really hectic. 1 minute everyone wants you, next minute you think, oh, I've got a bit of time, and then the phone goes again, and you're like, oh God. So thanks for watching, take care, and I will see you next time. Bye.